What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel, and if you are new here, welcome to my channel and welcome back to another impromptu true crime, whatever weekday it is. I know I usually do my true crime videos on Sunday, and I'm so sorry if you've been holding out for my Wednesday videos, but so far this week I will have uploaded 3 true crime Sundays on not Sunday because of the Nora Quoirin case. We have just received the autopsy findings from this case. I uploaded yesterday with what had happened. So if you haven't seen that video, pause. I will put the link here, watch that one, and then come back to me and I will see you then. So yesterday we spoke about Nora Quoirin's disappearance and then her eventual death. There were so many questions when she was found, like why was she naked? How was she found only 2 kilometers away from the resort? And also, who would have taken her in such a quiet, non-touristy place? You know what I'm saying? How could a disabled and limited capacity person climb through a window if she needed assistance walking in her everyday life? And also, how did her brother and sister not hear what had happened? So last night I got an abundance of messages from you guys being like, we just got the autopsy results and they don't make any sense. And you guys are so right. There are so many questions that I have now, and it does change my theory a little bit. So when we last left off, Nora's parents identified a body that was found next to a ravine that was naked, and they confirmed that it was that of Nora Quoirin. There was no evidence found with her body, and she was also located in a part of the jungle which had already been searched before, and it was only 2 kilometers away from the resort. So this area, due to the proximity to the resort, would have been one of the most thoroughly searched areas. Not to mention that the search party consisted, or at least grew to that of 350 searchers. They also had sniffer dogs, thermal imaging, they had an aerial search, and they even had elite commando forces, as you saw in the last video. So the resources set out to find this young girl were... The parents offered a reward for anyone who could give information on Nora's whereabouts. The reward was just under 20,000 Australian dollars, and that was donated by an anonymous Belfast business. Nora's parents from the outset have been adamant that this is foul play. They refuse to believe that she just randomly got up out of bed, climbed through the window and wandered off into the jungle. They are adamant that it is foul play, as we saw with all of the touching videos that Nora's mother has put out there begging people to help look for her daughter. And the reason that the family are adamant that there was foul play involved is because of everything that we've already mentioned, but for the most part because Nora needed help walking. She is of limited capacity, so that's why they're like, absolutely not. Someone would have either guided her or taken her or assisted her on getting out of that window. Due to the short period of time to which the family were actually in the hotel, because remember, they arrived at the hotel and she went missing later that day/night. Due to the short amount of time that they were actually at the hotel, that they were actually even in the country, my theory was that it was someone who had done a service for them, whether that was the taxi person who took them from the airport to the resort, or whether it was someone who actually works for the resort or lives in that very small proximity. And remember, this resort is not a burgeoning tourist destination. It's in the middle of the jungle, basically. It's not a touristy place where human traffickers are just like getting ready to take people, you know what I'm saying? It is quiet and it is small. And so realistically, all they would have had time to do was get their bags into their room and settle in and probably have some dinner. I don't even know if they would have left the hotel because they were only there for a short period of time. So that is where we left off, but what we have now is autopsy findings. And as I said, it just leaves more questions than answers. It's almost like it was even more inconclusive once we got these results. So what was Nora's cause of death? Nora died from internal bleeding, which was caused by hunger and stress. On top of that, Nora was found to have died 2 to 3 days before they actually found her, which was after they had already searched the place where she was found, and only a couple of days before they actually found her. And what's even more confusing is that the police are saying that there is no sign of foul play here. And I'm like, even without the autopsy findings, I still don't see how they could come to that conclusion just because of all the evidence. Even before the autopsy, it's still confusing as to why they don't think there's foul play here, because we'll get into that later, but a bit confusing and frustrating on my end, but whatever. The police did say that there was more testing that could be done. However, they also said that Nora's parents were free to take her home. The family don't seem to be happy with these findings. They are still adamant that there was foul play, and they hired a lawyer who has also come out with a statement saying that they are not ruling out foul play just because the police are. And Nora's mother in particular, because she has been kind of the spokesperson for the family, you know, you see the husband in the background crying, but Nora's mother has been the person who has been outspoken on the fact that this was foul play from the outset. So my questions are, why was she found naked? That's my question. Where are the clothes? Another question. Why was she not found in the initial search? They also had, as we saw in the last video, Nora's mother had filmed a video, and all the searchers had this video and they were playing it all throughout the jungle. That, to me, if they were doing that for, you know, the majority of the search, and if Nora was supposedly still alive just 2 kilometers away from the resort, and they had searched there, surely they would have found her and she would have heard those recordings because they were pretty loud. And also another question that I have about the distance is like, okay, I know that 2 kilometers is not much for me and you, but remember that this girl needed help walking in her everyday life. So how is she gonna walk 2 kilometers by herself even if she was able to get out of, like, actually climb out of a window, being disabled and being of limited capacity? And also none of this makes sense. Like, okay, let's just not get too carried away. How would she climb out the window, and how would she walk 2 kilometers into the jungle also without nobody seeing her? And I also have another question. Were there no security cameras? Was there no security? This seems like a fancy-schmancy kind of resort, and I know that they like pride themselves on being like this eco resort, but even then, like, surely there would be some sort of security measure somewhere. Listen, my theory is the same as what it was yesterday, but I have added to it. I still do believe that whoever took Nora was someone who did a service for the family, whether it was a busboy, whether it was the taxi person who took them from the airport to the resort, whether it was someone who checked them in, or whether it was someone who maybe just hangs out at the hotel or lives in the general vicinity. However, because the place that she was found had been thoroughly searched and was so close to the resort, my theory has now changed to, I think that whoever took Nora has access to somewhere either in the jungle or in the resort that isn't really monitored by anyone else. You know what I'm saying? Somewhere that's either abandoned or somewhere that not a lot of people check on an everyday basis. I do believe that she was either not in the place where they found her, as in they took her somewhere else in the jungle, or they took her basically like in the place that she went missing from, but just in like a hidden or unoccupied room. And then after the place had been searched, I think that that's when they brought her back there. Whether or not she was alive, I cannot say, but I do think that somebody had her and then placed her there, because the fact that it was so thoroughly searched, like, I don't even think you guys understand how big of a search party 350 people is and how close 2 kilometer radiuses are. Well, you probably do. I don't know why I just like acted like you guys were stupid, but you know what I'm saying. And another thing, are we forgetting that she was naked? So originally, with all the original statements before the most recent finding came out that there was no foul play, the authorities said that she was completely naked. Those were their words. They said completely naked. But now, after they're saying no foul play, everything is fine, they're saying that they had found her in her underwear. Either way, where are the rest of her clothes? And you can't go from saying completely naked and then saying, oh no, she had underwear on and everything is fine, there's no foul play. Because I think everyone, even non-English speaking countries, know that completely naked is different to has underwear on. So originally they were saying completely naked. I genuinely believe that the answers are in her clothes. Clothes are something that are basically the beacon of all evidence, you know what I'm saying? Because you've got DNA, hair fibers, like everything. Even the condition to which the clothes would have been found. Maybe, you know, was there semen on them, blood on them? You know, are they ripped? The answers are in the clothes. So where are her clothes? That is what I would like to know. And I think that when we find her clothes, that will give us more answers, because it doesn't make sense for her to be naked in the first place, and it doesn't make sense for the clothes to not be in a close proximity to the body. And searchers have literally combed, like after they found her body, they combed through that area and they said there was no extra evidence to be found. So where are her clothes? And I question some of the searching because they had searched where her body was originally, and she was alive supposedly at that point. So that leads me to believe that she was elsewhere and that she was brought there after they had already searched there. Now, I know in yesterday's video I said that I believed that the entire thing was sexually motivated because she was found completely naked. However, I have another branch of theory, and I don't know which one I believe more than the other, but it's just something that I was thinking about last night. I think that maybe it wasn't sexually motivated because there was no signs of physical assault or sexual assault. Just because she was naked doesn't necessarily mean that it was of a sexual nature. As we literally just discussed, quite possibly the reason that her clothes are missing is because the person wanted to make sure there was absolutely no evidence that could be linked to them. And so is it possible that her clothes were off for a different reason? Maybe for a withholding evidence reason. And that also means that maybe she was taken for a different reason, because there are a plethora of possibilities as to why she was taken, and not all of them are sexual. General curiosity, because she was a very different child. She was different looking and she acted different to everyone else because she had a learning disability and because she had slight facial defects. Maybe the person who took her wasn't used to seeing someone like that, and so they saw her and they became inquisitive, and maybe they themselves are not all there in their head and they took her. And then when they realized what they had done, they kept her and then placed her there. Maybe thinking that, you know, because if they placed her there alive, maybe they were thinking that someone would find her eventually because they already knew there was this huge search going on. Is that a possibility? Is it possible that whoever took her was maybe just curious because she was different? Or maybe is it a possibility that they took her because they wanted a child? Because that is the one of, I mean, apart from drugs and money and sex, wanting a child is one of the biggest reasons why children are abducted. So is it possible that someone wanted a child and then they waited until they went to sleep, climbed through the window, took her, or maybe even guided her, maybe even had something that she possibly wanted? I don't know how they would have done that without her brother and sister waking up. But maybe they got her because they wanted a child. And then when they realized that maybe she was a little bit more than what they would be able to handle, they either kept her and then dumped her, or they just set her off into the jungle, hoping that she would just find her way back. To me, the biggest questions are, where are her clothes? Another one would be, why was she found in a place that was so thoroughly searched? And a big red flag is the fact that she was alive only 2 to 3 days before they actually found her. What does that leave us with? So in the coming days, when I have more time, I will be putting up a video contrasting this case to another well-known case, which is the Madeleine McCann case, and I have not done a video on the Madeleine McCann case because it's just so heavily covered, and I don't think, you know, because I don't cover big cases like that. I only cover breaking news cases or cases where I've actually watched the entire trial and cases where the parents have reached out to me. So those are the cases that I've covered so far, and they do keep me pretty busy. So until there's a shortage of people who request me to cover their story, I probably won't cover big cases. But I do think that contrasting this case to the Madeleine McCann case, because there are so many intertwinings with them, I think that will be beneficial. So once that is up, you'll see a little tab here. I hope you enjoyed this covering of this case. There will be more videos because this is an unraveling case. Let me know what you think about my theories in the comments down below. I will also say that someone literally just commented on my last video saying that the police didn't think that foul play was involved because the window opens from inside. My response to that is that, first of all, I sleep with my windows open at night because I want fresh air. It is likely that because there were 3 people sleeping in one room, that the window was open for those reasons. Also, it's Malaysia. And also, I don't think that if, you know, prior to this happening, because obviously hindsight is a beautiful thing. I say that in every single video because people seem to forget that prior to an event happening, people are a lot less alert and a lot less scared that things like this will happen. It is likely that they just happily left their window open. I don't think that someone necessarily had to break in a window to take someone. It is likely that the window was already open. So until the next video, I will see you on Sunday with another True Crime Sunday, and it is our 3rd installment of the Kenneka Jenkins case, and we are going to be talking about what happened after they found her body, as well as looking at all of the evidence. And the next Sunday is going to be the last installment of the Kenneka Jenkins case, and that is where we debunk popular theories and where we might present some new theories. Alright you guys, thank you so much for keeping up to date with this case with me. I hope you liked the video. If you do, give it a thumbs up because it really does help. And if you want to be a nice guy and give your girl a subscribe, I do true crime videos, obviously more than Sunday these days, but every single Sunday, and then every single Wednesday I do story times, hauls, and I try YouTube tags. Alright, I'll put my little head here if you want to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. I'm sorry I spat so much in this video.